Hey everyone, it's Devin. So before the episode starts, I just want to pop in here real quick. So the review on Tuca and Bertie you're about to hear was actually from a class assignment I had to do last semester. I had to review a television show, and my professor gave us the option on doing it in a podcast format, and he let Mauricio help me out even though he's not in my class. But what's fun about this is this assignment actually inspired me to do this podcast. And I've been so busy with school, I haven't really had time to research and get together and record a new episode. So I thought it'd be fun to use this since this is what inspired the podcast. And it's a good review. We had a lot of fun doing it. Tuca and Bertie's a great show. Me and Mauricio both love it. So I hope you enjoy our review on Tuca and Bertie. So it's Devin.
And Mauricio.
This is my friend Mauricio.
Hi, hello.
And we're going to talk about Tuca and Bertie, and we're going to do a review.
Yes, Tuca and Bertie. Not for nothing, I'm not going to lie. Real quick, my opinion about Tuca and Bertie, just flat out, I love it. I actually love the show because, not for nothing, you don't see these type of shows out there. Like, really expressing daily stuff that we as normal people, normal humans, that we go through.
Yeah, and I personally, because I know the woman's name is Lisa Hanawalt, and she was I think she was the creative director or artist, I have to double check that, artist for BoJack Horseman. And I don't know, I personally just can't I can't jive with BoJack Horseman. I don't enjoy it, but I really like Tuca and Bertie because I like how it's not in your face with the sadness that people go for. Like, BoJack's very, like, depressing, like, alcoholism and, like, depression, like, all this stuff. But with Tuca and Bertie, like, it tackles that, but it's fun. You're not upset after you watch it. You feel good after you watch it. And it's sad that this show was canceled by Netflix, but Adult Swim picked it up. So by next year, we should be getting more episodes, which is the good news out of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we're going to talk about the animation first.
Okay.
So you want to go first?
Okay, about the animation. It's actually like, okay, when it comes to the animation, it's really colorful. It's really animated. Even like reviews, they'll even say about how it's like defying gravity, and it's like doing all these crazy things that normal people would not do, normal cartoons wouldn't really like do. Because in the cartoons, the first thing that you see in like the first episode is like they start transitioning into like the whole city, and literally you see like a snake train just going up and down these buildings, that stuff, like things that you wouldn't see. And like these things I see that are more captivating, and like things that will like, you know, like capture into your mind and like really click in there, stuff that you know that once you think about it, it's like, oh, Tuca and Bertie. And that's like one thing that I find like it's really like a key thing that I really did like about this show.
Yeah, I like in an interview, it's with in a review by New York Times, they wrote that everything in the world is alive and it fits the series story. So there's like the surreal vision with the fluidity of the landscape, bends laws of nature and physics. And I like that a lot because the whole point of a cartoon is it's like there's no rules because it's a cartoon. So you could do things you couldn't really do or couldn't do as easily with a live action show with a cast. When you animate, there's really no rules. And like with this, there's no rules. The snakes are the trains. Some of the buildings have boobs. Like in the opening number, there's the boobs bouncing on the building. Mm-hmm. You have the fun transitions, like in episode 2 when Bertie says she's gonna have spicy chips for lunch. There's this transition of her walking and her legs are like extending and her arms are extending, and there's chips floating around her. And there's another one when like Tuca's opening her mouth and then more Tucas come out. So it's just very they really take advantage of the idea, or not an idea, they take advantage of the cartoon, and that this is a cartoon and you can just do really whatever you want with animation. Like, other than there's mostly, everyone's are like bird people. There's also people that are plants, like the neighbor Draca I don't know what she is, but she has like the trees coming out and her leaves rustle. And then there's the episode when Tuca and Bertie go to the supermarket. There's like the teenage plants, and they have like very like tones like this, like we like your shoes. And Bertie like doesn't know if they're complimenting her. Like it's like the idea of like teenagers being plants. Like I just find that funny.
I like it because like it, not for nothing, but like, to me, in my view, like when I see like kids, I'm like, I do see them as that. I do see them as like really boring, and that they just like really relaxed and like nonchalant, and just, you could even hear in the tone of their voices how they even like go for these characters. It's just so like really laid back.
Yeah, and like Draca is not supposed to be a teenager, but she's like a very laid back person. Like she never talks, and she can talk because there's times she'll say like bye or like relax, but she's just very like there. In the first episode when they go in her apartment, she has turtles everywhere, and she's like sitting on her chair hitting like a dab pen. And like, so it's like I don't know, I like that. Also like with the character, it goes with that character too, not just that they're a plant person. It goes like Tuca's a very loud character, and like Tuca's living toucan birds live in like the Amazon, right? You look that up.
Yeah, like you see,
toucans live in the Amazon. No, look it up. You're the one with a computer.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, and then Bertie's a song thrush. I don't know where those birds are, but like I've looked at pictures of them and they seem like they're very just like not calm, because Bertie has a lot of anxiety, but they're not like loud like a toucan would be. So I like that. What are the, like, I guess the most, like, what I see in a lot of interviews and reviews, there's a lot of focus on the flashback scene in the episode 9 when Bertie opens up that she was sexually assaulted. So I had like a quote from an interview that Lisa Hanawalt did with NPR, and they were talking about like that choice of making it, because the animation's there's no faces, it's just like paper cutouts of characters and places. And this quote is when she's talking about like how they got that idea. So she said, "When you have a horrible memory like that, you almost aren't picturing it the way it actually happened. You're sort of picturing shapes and colors because you've replayed it so many times in your head as a trauma victim. It takes sort of dreamlike quality, so I think the paper cuts really help with that." And I really like that. I never really looked at it that way until I read this quote, and then we watched the episode yesterday. Because I like that, because I feel like this is something, especially in shows written by women and that star women, like this is a good conversation to have. There wasn't gruesome, like you don't see what happened, like you get it, like, and I feel like a lot of shows can learn from that. Looking at you, 13 Reasons Why. A lot of shows can learn from that, that you can talk about these hard subjects, but you don't need to use that horrible imagery, or if someone who is watching who was assaulted isn't really put through that again with the imagery. And she also, there's another quote I want to read where she talks about that choice as well. A Vanity Fair interview with her, and this quote is also from that same interview with her, and this is about why she didn't have the guys' faces in it, or like that much graphic. "I wanted to make sure when we weren't showing the guy because he's not important to this story. He doesn't matter, we're probably never going to see him again, and I wanted to make sure we weren't showing what actually happened because that also doesn't matter. What matters is her takeaway from it and how it affected her." And that I feel like is important too, because like a lot of shows, not even anything, any media that covers stuff like this, you have to see it, you have to know who the guy is, and it's like, that's all about this, and it's very, like, it could be really graphic or like re-traumatizing in a way. So I really like how she handled such a hard topic, and she handles a lot of hard topics, but I think this is like the hardest topic she handled, and I really like how she did it. And when I read this interview, and then watched the episode, I really saw what she meant by it, and I really enjoyed it.
Like she said, it's just like, it really got relatable, because like, even for me, like as a person, like I had like traumatic experiences of like the same way that Bertie has went through, and not for nothing, like you don't visualize like what the person looked like, what it is. You just see like key things like their jacket or their pants or what you were wearing. It's because you play it so many times in your head where it's just, you as a person, you don't know what it is. You just like, you don't remember anymore. And it hurts, because it's like you're reliving those like traumatizing like moments in your life. And like I do like love, actually I love it, not even like, I love how like they really express like, and not even express, they showed that this is what it is, this is what we see in our minds, is that we don't see faces, we don't see like, oh, the person, how they look exactly, we just see like figures and outlines and just like certain like objects or certain like clothing that the person might worn or was around, if anything.
Yeah, so Mauricio pretty much I think ended that topic, but yeah, that's I enjoy how they did the flashbacks, how they handled that topic, because then I also love how that episode ends, is because the day Bertie is assaulted, she says she had a big swim meet that day, and she was going to swim to Peanut Butter Island because it's like jelly lakes that they're at. So part of the show's surrealism. She was going to swim to Peanut Butter Island, but she didn't because of what happened, and she just quit swimming. And in the beginning of that episode, or like the midpoint of that episode, they meet up with her old coach, and the coach keeps talking about it, and Bertie obviously is angry when she brings up, and there's a point before Bertie opens up that she was assaulted, that the coach says something like, oh, you kids, you just don't stick to anything anymore, you just give up. And she flips out and says, that's all I wanted to do, I wanted to swim to that island. And then after that, her and Tuca are in private, and she tells her. So how the episode ends is Bertie swims to Jelly Lakes. But what happens is, like, Bertie is in her 30s now, she's not a kid, she hasn't trained, so she's not ready to do this, but she's gonna do it. So Bertie, the coach, and the coach's wife.
No, Tuca.
No, I know Tuca.
No, it was Tuca the wife, and the coach was on the kayak going to actually help her, because like they only see is like Tuca, literally it just ends up being is that Tuca wakes up and then she sees like Bertie's gone, and they're trying to figure out like what's going on, like where is she. Ends up being that she's on the lake, Jelly Lake, going to Peanut Butter Island. And so basically at that point, she is, like how Devin said, she is 30. She hasn't had that type of training in so long, where she's basically is inexperienced. So from that point, you see Tuca, the coach, and the wife going into the kayak and just going to basically help her. And as she's basically, Tuca's going to like swim, they're basically supporting, like giving her moral support and like encouraging her that she could do it. Yeah, I remember, and I thought it was funny, they threw like the food in her mouth. And Tuca goes, oh, it's gonna work, and the coach is like, not for long. And then because Bertie's going, it's helping, then she goes, it's not helping, and the coach is like, oh, it's a curse, I always have to be right. And then the giant mother crab comes, and the coach and the mother crab start fighting. And then also early in the episode, when they're at a mall, there's two teen best friends, like two teen girls, and they're making up from an argument, because previous to this episode, or like 2 episodes before, Tuca and Bertie get in a big argument and like aren't friends for a while, and this was them like reconnecting. So they also had like that apology was there. So those teen girls are on the lake, and they're like cheering her on. They call her grandma. They say, go grandma, go. And then she makes it, and then literally at the end, it's like all the women, so it's the 2 teen girls, the coach, her wife, the crab, Tuca and Bertie, and they're just sitting by the fire and enjoying their time. So I like how that episode ended, is that, like, obviously Bertie isn't, like, cured of the trauma from this event, but now she has a nice memory that goes with this place, because she didn't like going there anymore because all she could remember was the assault. But now she has this memory of that she finally actually got to Peanut Island, actually. Yeah.
She got to Peanut Butter Island, and plus now she had this great support system. Even though not all of them knew what she went through, they just supported her in this task she wanted to complete. Even though Tuca was the only one that knew what happened to her, they all still supported her. So I really, really appreciated that. So episode 2, Bertie gets sexually harassed at work by, and I love it, Dirk the rooster.
Oh my god.
And he's the Chad. He's like the bro dude. I love it. And he's a rooster.
He's the icon. Listen, he is the iconic Chad.
Yeah, but his name's Dirk.
Chad. Like, if you could literally imagine like what a Chad is, think of that, but in a rooster.
Yeah, and I like that. That's part of the like just putting like the characteristics into the animal they are. So I like that's part of that too. But yeah, so he sexually harasses Bertie because Bertie goes to she's trying to get a promotion at work, and like in the beginning you see she has this full plan and she fails miserably, And we're not failing miserably, but it's not going like she planned it to go. So she's obviously upset because everything she's tried fails. And she's obviously upset. And like Dirk asks what's wrong. And she just says she wants to ask the boss for something really like important. And she's scared. And he mentions that she's wearing a tight shirt. And that's probably why she wore it. So she could get the promotion. And you see her face. She just goes, what? And he says something like, oh, I'm sure he's going to give whatever you ask for. And then her boob pops out of her chest. And the boob is Aquafina.
Yes.
The boob
Aquafina.
is Aquafina, guest starred. She plays Bertie's boob. And the boob, I think they call her boob titty or bird titty.
Bertie's tit or Bertie's boob, something like that.
Later Tuca calls her bird titty or something like that. But they don't really give it a name, but you just know it's Aquafina from the voice, like the minute you hear it. But she says she's done, she's had it, and she needs a drink, so she leaves. So it's like that funny how like when you had a rough day, you're like, I need a drink. So the boob leaves, and like now Bertie has this huge hole in her chest, and then like Dirk is kind of like grossed out by this, and then he goes, well, the other one's sitting fine, and it starts wiggling, and Bertie grabs it, and it goes, no, you don't. So then Bertie goes home, she still has the hole in her chest, and like Speckle, her boyfriend, and Tuca kind of notice she's upset, but she acts like it's nothing, and she just brings the french fries to bed for bed fries. And then later, Tuca's in their apartment, and she's watching car crash videos. The boob comes back, and it's drunk, and the boob tells Bertie how, like, she was sexually harassed, and complains about the job, and how the boss doesn't notice her. And I just love it how the boob leaves because it's done. So in the NPR interview, it's not a direct quote, but she basically brings up how when you're sexually harassed like that, you want to hide that part of your body because like later, it's also stated in the episode, the HR lady says it to Bertie, how you're told to take it as a compliment, but it's not a compliment. You want to hide that or take that part away from you. So she's saying how the boob leaving basically means how you just want to get rid of that part of your body. So even though one boob leaves, it's still how the boob just leaves her body because it's done. So obviously, like if someone catcalls you or harasses you and makes a comment about your body and it's like very inappropriate like that, like you don't want that part to be on you anymore. So that's another way of taking, like we mentioned earlier, how BoJack is very like sad, bringing up these hard problems. That like Tuca and Bertie does that, but you can laugh still. You can have a laugh, and even with like the when it gets to moments like the sexual assault, like that moment was calm. There was no jokes, but in that big ending when Bertie makes it to the island, it was hilarious with the crab coming out. So that's another thing with the whole boob leaving with the sexual harassment is how they take such problems, but like. You can notice the problems, but you can laugh because, like they say, laughter is a good coping mechanism. So I like that. And plus, since the show is mostly written by women, it's pretty much all women. It's woman created,
which I really love about that. Not for nothing.
It's like from experience. It's not just like here it is and let's like see it in our faces because it's a problem.
I don't know. In my opinion, I really like the show because again, like they really like again, like how Devin keeps saying, it's like, unlike BoJack Horseman, like Tuca and Bertie, they do touch up on these like really serious, really like harsh topics, but they also know how to make it like really comedic and really like fun that you could laugh at it as well as like really relate to it. So not just much as like, everything is just serious. And like, again, like laughter is a good cure. Like it really is.
Yeah, it's true. See, and I want to talk about Tuca because we kind of been ignoring Tuca, which she's one of the main characters too, and she is great. She's a Tiffany Haddish. We didn't talk about the voices. So Ali Wong does Bertie, and I love Ali Wong. Yes. She is so funny. And Tiffany Haddish does Tuca, and she is phenomenal. So funny.
It is phenomenal.
She is hilarious. So I love the character of Tuca because she, like, Bertie is very, like, not timid, but Bertie's very quiet, shy. She just wants everything in order. She just wants everything to go smoothly. She has her plans. She doesn't want anyone to mess up those plans. And Tuca, Tuca doesn't really have a job. She does mobile notary and random little jobs, and she has a very rich aunt who helps her pay rent. So Tuca is so carefree, like living life, but she's always there for Bertie. Like in the sexual harassment episode, Bertie calls Tuca, and Tuca's cutting someone's hedges. And she just says, someone at my job, and this is when he sexual harasses her. This is, I think he stole her idea for a meeting. So she calls Tuca just to vent and be like, oh, this guy's giving me problems. And Tuca goes, Tuca goes, I'm a little busy right now, but send me his address and I'll plot his murder. So that's just like the type of friend Tuca is. Like, she has Bertie's back no matter what. But they also explore like her struggles. So in episode 5, let me check my notes real quick. I'm talking about the one where they go, episode 5. So Bertie plans a self-care day. So, and it's Tuca's aunt's birthday, and Tuca doesn't want to go alone because she's been sober for 6 months, which her aunt doesn't know. And this is another thing Tuca's going through. She's learning to live life without alcohol because that's seen as a very like thing she needed to be social with people mostly and show her personality. Is she needed the alcohol, and now she's trying to do that without. And plus, her and her aunt, as she mentions, they love to drink together, and she has to go and be sober, but she doesn't want to like make the birthday sad by talking about sobriety. So Bertie can't go, so Speckle goes with her. And I love Speckle. It's Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead. Glenn. Do you watch The Walking Dead? Have you ever seen The Walking Dead? He was like in the first season. He's like the main cast.
I don't know. When it came to The Walking Dead, I really never...
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Yeah.
He's in other things I just can't remember, but Stephen Yeun does the voice for Speckle, and he's hilarious in it too, which is... I haven't seen him in much, but I've seen him in The Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead's so serious, and Glenn's kind of the comedic character, but it's, like I said, it's a serious show, so it's fun seeing him, even though he's not in it, his voice in this comedy show. So they go to the aunt's house, and Speckle just gets literally drunk because Tuca keeps giving Speckle the drinks or knocking them over. And there's a part where they're all in the pool and Tuca is looking through a scrapbook and shows Speckle a picture of her mom. And like what they did with the sexual assault part, there's a part where it's Tuca's thinking about when her mother was alive because her mother is dead. And it's like this yarn and like clay animation.
Yarn and clay animation.
Yeah, it's kind of like childish. It's kind of like that. And like she's just talking about like the aunts making comments about how like the water was always off, the lights were off, everything was breaking in the house, the kids would be running everywhere because she has a lot of brothers and sisters. But she brings up how the mom just like loved them, and that was what was important. She just loved all her kids. And then she mentions that she died. She said, well, all of this fell apart when she dies, and then like the strings start like unraveling. So I like that how they did it because everything disappears, and then there's like a little animation of Tuca when she's a baby just left alone. And it's like, that's really when you see like the sad part of Tuca, because in the first 4 episodes, she's just the loud friend causing problems, but always there for Bertie. Like that was like really her character arc in the first 4 episodes. And then you get to episode 5 and you see like Tuca's struggles. So you see like she notices how mean her aunt is. Her mean aunt makes fun of her body, saying she's fat, she needs to lose weight, making like backhand comments and side comments. And at that point, when they're having like a dinner, she decides to leave. And Tuca's aunt Tallulah, her aunt's name is Tallulah, she's been really going off about how like the mom was like really like, it's basically saying the mom was a terrible mother and didn't know how to raise her kids, and basically like blaming her for like dying. And that's when Tuca finally breaks because she's sick of it, and she says, you could say whatever you want about me, but you cannot say anything about my mother because all that woman did was put positivity and love in my life. And like the aunt basically says, like, because she says that like she's drunk, but that's when Tuca says like, I've been sober for 6 months, and the aunt jokes that she'll be drinking again soon. So it's like that harsh for a lot of people when they get sober. There's that family that is just like, you're gonna relapse again, like I'll see you soon. And it's like that. And plus it's her family too, and that's all she really has. So at the end, she keeps saying like, everyone's gonna leave you, and they're driving home, and Speckle's drunk singing in the car, and she just says like, what if my aunt's right? And she brings up how she's irresponsible, she can't keep a job, and that like she's gonna be alone like her mother. And Speckle just assures her that she has him and Bertie, and that they're her family. So there's that too, as like, you know, even though Tuca is very confident and out there, and she says it like it is, and she says what's on her mind, like she still has her problems at the end of the day, and she has her stuff in life at the end of the day, and sometimes she needs to be vulnerable like that. But it's good that Speckle was there, because like in the first episode, Tuca had a problem with Speckle moving in because she had to move out. But you see them that they have a friendship now too. So that is also important, and I like that as we also explore throughout the rest of the season, like we see Tuca's side and what she's been through, because as we know from the beginning, Bertie's anxious. We just know this from the beginning. So it's nice that we equally see them, but you see how their friendship works. Comments?
So, like, one thing that I did really like about it is the fact that how, like, Speckle really, really said and really put it out there that you have your friends. Like, your friends are your family. Like, you don't have to, like, really think that, oh, like, if your immediate family doesn't support you, doesn't care about you, or if they critique you or something's wrong and you feel like you just want to leave, and when you do leave, you think that you're going to be alone. You're not, because again, you have a support team. Like, Speckle really, like, put, like, his foot down and really said, like, look, you really have, like, Tuca and me. I mean, you have Bertie and me as, like, a family.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, that's when we start really seeing Tuca's side. And then the next episode, was it? No, it was, episode 7. Was it episode 7? Can we look that up? Because my notes are all over the place.
7 was Jelly Lake.
No, 9 was Jelly Lake.
I mean, 9. Oops, 7.
Oh, no, yeah, 7.
7 was Yeast Week. And then 9 was Jelly Lake.
Yeah, so the Yeast Week episode, Bertie is getting a cramp in her side. And then there's, like, a giant egg in her ovary. Like, another over-the-topness. So, Tuca clearly needs medical help. But they don't really say it in the episode. But I personally feel like one of the reasons she doesn't want to go to the hospital is also she can't afford it. But as you see later, because there is a scene where she goes to the hospital, she gets someone on this, like, was it like a Sims type sex work line she's working for? A guy comes and helps her because, like, while she's on the call with him, the pain comes in and she tells him her address, and he comes and helps her. So she goes to the hospital and she's terrified, and the doctor is pacifistic. What's the word? Pacifist. I don't even know. Like, just rude.
Oh my God.
She's just rude. The doctor's very rude. She turns on a UV thing, and he basically says, like, we try to teach doctors empathy, but that failed. So now she has a machine to comfort her. And then, like, when the doctor leaves, the robot's just like, oh, plug in my wife, and it's a lamp. And he goes, she's so much more than a lamp. You're just not seeing her in the right light. And then when the doctor comes back, he tells her the computer tells Tuca to, like, cherish the one she loves. So then she goes into surgery and they sing this song. She's like, I feel like a shrimp. And you also see there's a flashback because the doctor says, like, we have the best doctors here. Tuca has a memory of when she was little and her mom got in the car crash, and her aunt said, like, her mom would live. They have the best doctors, and then her mom didn't live. So you also see why also she didn't want to go to the hospital, other than just, like, not affording the care. It's like, that's where her mom died, so now she has a fear, and she obviously never got help for this. She's just been doing it by herself, so this is why she didn't want to go to the hospital the whole time. And then Bertie's at Yeast Week, which you brought up earlier with the culinary. She's at Yeast Week and she gets invited to eat with, like, these top chefs, and she doesn't go because Tuca's in the hospital. And when she goes and she's asking Speckle, because Speckle ended up on the sex website thinking it was a video game, he finds the guy on there that took her. And that's how he tells Bertie. So she asks Speckle, what should we do? Because Tuca's in surgery, and he tells her to wait. And then she remembers when they were in college, Tuca had alcohol poisoning and had to go get her stomach pumped. And the paramedic told her all you could do is wait. And then she gets upset because, like, Tuca, even though she's a great friend, she's reckless. And she worries that Tuca's going to really hurt herself, how reckless she is. So that's another thing to bring up, like, when you really care about people like your friends, but when they do things that scare you, like, you're just stuck. And also not just with Bertie, but with Tuca, like, how we have these fears from childhood that stick with us in adulthood, and Tuca's is hospitals.
This is why I'm telling you, this is why, like, this show is, like, the bee's knees. The bee's knees. Because it really has so many topics and so many things that it's just, it really hits home. It really does.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I really do love about the show. And honestly, I recommend it to everybody. Like, go watch it, really.
It's on Netflix.
Like, yes.
Yeah. So I wanted to finish this off talking about solely just the friendship between Tuca and Bertie. And in an IndieWire interview of the show, they wrote, when Bertie is in her own head, Tuca pushes her out of it. And then when Tuca needs the comfort for her problems, Bertie is like that soothing, guiding voice that gets her out of it. And I like that way of how they describe the friendship. And that's how a lot of friendships are. Like, one person helps one this way and one person helps this way. So it's like Tuca's loud, in your face, she does what needs to be done. So when Bertie is stuck in a position where she needs to be assertive, Tuca kind of pushes her to it. But then when you have on the other side, when Tuca really is overwhelmed and with a lot of stuff in her life, Bertie's that calmness and peace that she needs. And it's like that importance of, I guess, friendship, but I'm going to say female friendship. It's like that importance of female friendship, of how you need your
balance.
You need your balance. And I love how, like, we also see the episodes when they're not friends anymore. And there's only, like, really one episode. Like, the episode 7 ends with the fight, and then episode 8 is Tuca...
Basically them two going on a road trip.
No, that's the beginning of episode 9. No, Tuca joins, like, a sex cult. Not a sex cult, no. That's what Bertie asked her. No, she goes to this, like, egg, and it's, like, a namaste peace place. And the HR lady and Dirk are there, and Dirk's, like, a changed man. Remember that episode? And it's like they're quiet, they never talk, and they just meditate, and she sends Tuca there. And Tuca goes, and she, like, as she's, like, meditating, she's thinking of all these things she's repressing. And she just convinces everyone to, like, be crazy in this, like, it reminds me of.
So it's like a mini social gathering.
Yeah, because it's not like a commune's when you live on a farm and you share the property, and a cult is crazy people. Well, not crazy people, crazy person, like, manipulating people. But it, like, in a way turns into a cult because she's yelling, like, fruit is the enemy, money is the enemy, and, like, whatever Tuca says, they follow. So it, like, turns into a cult. And then Tuca sees the destruction she causes, and she needs her quiet. And she leaves, and she finds Draca. And Draca has her lay in water. And then it's like this also like this clay animation where Tuca's thinking of, like, Bertie, like, calling her, like, irresponsible and, like, can't hold down a job and how she's a failure. And Tuca admits it and says, like, she's not happy with her life. And then Bertie... It's not really Bertie, it's, like, her conscious, I guess. Bertie says, like, well, you are who you are, and, like, I love you no matter what. And you kind of see they do, like, a yin-yang, how they're the yings to each other's yangs. And then Tuca says she needs to find Bertie, and she leaves, and that's kind of where they lead into episode 9, because she's walking home, and Bertie picks her up, and then episode 9 opens with them in the car. And they're just, like, quietly driving, and then the sheep drive by, and then they start crying, and they apologize. They do, like, a quick, like, I'm sorry. And then they're driving, and then they want silence, and they're singing in the car together, like, to some pop song. And then they go to the mall, and that's where they run into the teenage girls, and they apology. And it's really like Tuca and Bertie apologize, but they don't apologize. Just what everything they said is what they felt. So I like that too. So I like how you see this friendship and how strong it is. Even though they had that big fight,
they still come together.
They came back together. And it's just great. I love it.
I just love it.
I wish we see this more in media, and that's what made me so upset when they canceled it. Because, like, I know BoJack Horseman is very popular. Personally, it's not my cup of tea. I tried it, didn't like it, but it obviously there's people who like it because it has done very, very, very well. We've seen the man who failed, and now he's sad. And, like, yes, that's important. I always see this scene going around from, I don't know what episode it is, but it's his friend literally saying, like, your problems are your fault and nobody else's. Like, you drink, you drive people away, you're terrible to people, that's your fault, and you can't blame it on everything that happened to you. So I do like how that show does that. But I feel like with a male lead character, especially, like, a very prominent male lead character, like, we see it. We see it.
It's been there,
everywhere.
Done that.
It's been there, done that. I know BoJack Horseman gets the it's more different because it's not just BoJack. I know they talk about Diane. I know a lot of people love Diane. So, and they talk about her journey. So I know they get more because they don't, like, shy away from mental illness. Like, they like, keep it real. I guess, keep it real, make it clear, like, and then I don't think they try to make BoJack, like, a good person. maybe there are people that think he's a good person, but from what I've seen, they don't try to make him seem like he's great. It's just, this is what he's done and this is how he feels, and he's like this the way he is as you explore it. But I feel like we've seen it, and especially with like women, like whenever you hear a story about a woman and you talk about her struggles, like it's so like not fun because it's serious, it's dramatic, it's has those shock scenes, and like I just like having this comedy that's female-led, female-read. It's funny, everybody liked it. It wasn't just women who liked it, men enjoyed it too, and then they cancel it. So I'm so happy Adult Swim picked it up because they make funny stuff.
Honestly, I can't
Adult
wait.
Swim is hilarious. They make very funny content.
I cannot
So
wait.
I know like it's in good hands now. Like I'm not upset. I'm happy Adult Swim picked it up out of any like program.
Adult Swim, yeah.
I'm happy Adult Swim was the one that picked it up, and I just feel like this show is so important, and we need more stuff like this, and like also like we need this more female-led, female-written stuff, but we also just need these conversations
being told,
but
in a good way.
In a good way, and not for shock looking at you 13 Reasons Why.
Oh my God.
I'm going to, I mean, Bushman knows. I was in the noir class when we brought it up. I made a big spew about the suicide scene. You heard me telling Tom the other night about it.
They could have done better.
This isn't about 13 Reasons Why, but just in comparison, how that show did bring up the topics of sexual harassment, rape, but it was just shock. It was just for shock because they knew people were going to talk about it. Tuca and Bertie takes those horrible things like sexual assault, harassment, and other things more than just that, like just like depression, anxiety, abandonment. Like they take all that and you get the message, but you can laugh. You can have a good time, and you don't leave that show upset. You leave it happy.
And I feel like that's what makes it even more memorable.
Yes.
Honestly, because you get to laugh at it, you get to enjoy it. Because like I feel like when you experience like sad and depressing like feelings and those emotions, us as humans, we always have that feeling to suppress those. For some reason, we always suppress them. But that's why when it came to like Tuca and Bertie, they talked about those harsh and serious topics, but they made it so lively and so fun and so colorful and so animated that it wasn't depressing, that we could laugh at it at the same time. We could be like, oh, I relate to that. Oh, I connect to that scene. Oh, I could connect to that person or character. So that's like one thing I really do suggest, like, people do go out to watch Tuca and Bertie.
Yeah. And I feel like Tuca and Bertie, I just follow this. Tuca and Bertie, they're very universal characters. Even though they're women and they have their things that I guess are more women-centered, I feel like just them, they're universal characters. I feel like everyone could find something they can relate to in Tuca and Bertie. And anyone could, not just a woman. Like, anyone could relate to Tuca and Bertie. Even though, like I said, we deal with topics that seem more women-based, just them in general as their characters, like, anybody could relate to Tuca and Bertie. They're such universal characters. So I feel like this show is just amazing, and, like, every time I rewatch it, I leave it happy.
Like you leave it happy, and you for nothing, you leave wanting more.
I leave wanting that too. I leave wanting more, but I feel comfortable. Like, especially like okay, not to always bring up 13 Reasons Why, but I'm gonna bring it up. I don't know which episode it is, but there's an episode where you find out Hannah Baker is raped by Bryce, and it isn't as graphic as rape scenes have gone, but it's graphic. Like, you see, like, her face, like, it's very, I don't want to get too much into detail, but it's so, like, it just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And I get, like, it's rape, but we know rape is terrible. I don't need to see it to know rape is awful and that it's damaging to a person. We know this. So you have a show like that when it has a woman character, well, not woman, girl, she's a teenager, and it starts with a teenage girl, young woman, dealing with something that a lot of young women deal with, and it's just hard to watch. You leave uncomfortable, and you just leave it, and you don't know how to feel after it, and then the show ends and Hannah dies. So when you have Tuca and Bertie, and they have that episode that touches that topic, yeah, it's sad, you see it. Like, there's a scene in the episode where when Bertie, like, cramps and she sinks to the bottom of the lake, and she sees that cutout of herself as a child, and she hugs her. So it's, like, it's sad, it is sad and emotional, but you leave happy. Because, like I said earlier, the episode ends with her with these women having, like, tea by a fireplace, and now she has a nice memory to go with the lake. So you get that point of how damaging this is, but you leave, like, feeling okay and happy. Not happy, you make us happy. You leave feeling secure, comfortable. Yeah. You don't feel uncomfortable. Like, when you talk about these things, like, I know it's an uncomfortable topic, but you can, like, this show has proven, you can talk about these uncomfortable comments, uncomfortable situations, but your audience does have to be uncomfortable. They can leave comforted.
You feel secure as well. Like,
yeah, she leaves secure. So, I don't know who was responsible for canceling that, but,
shame on you.
Shame on you, because, like, 13 Reasons Why had another season right after that. And Paradise PD. I don't know, so what do you want to... How should we grade the show?
Honestly, yeah, A. I give it an A, because it's like, it really it gave the message without being overwhelming, which a lot of shows tend to do. Yeah. And it really is captivating with the animation, the characters, the sceneries, the topics, like everything is all captivating. And honestly, in my perspective, I give it an A.
Yeah. So yeah, we give Tuca Bertie an A, and if you have Netflix or have a friend who has Netflix, watch Tuca and Bertie.
Or just steal their Netflix and watch Tuca and Bertie, but watch it.
All right, I guess we'll just say thanks for listening, and
next time, for the next time.
See you next time.
Thank you and goodbye.
Oh my God.